Hi, Joy Madhur Movie Recaps here. Today I am going to explain a based on the real life story of youngest warrior of World War II called Soldier Boy. Spoilers ahead. Stay with us till the end. The film starts in Russia where a family of three sit by waterway, partaking in their time. The most youthful of them, Sergei Aloshoky, gloats to his senior sibling and mother about him being on top of a tree when unexpectedly German contender jets soar over. The mother requests that her children conceal in the brambles rapidly. Yet all at once the 6-year-old guesses he isn't terrified and hits the fly with a ceiling shot. Amazingly, he figures out how to stir things up around town and detonate them. However, when he glances around, his family is no more. Sergei wakens scared from the fantasy and requires his mom. All of a sudden, somebody thumps on his interway. Expecting it is his mom. He runs towards it, yet a neighbor lady comes in overreacting. She expresses gratitude toward God for keeping him alive and illuminates him that his mom and siblings are dead. The young man cannot appreciate what she's talking about and need to remain in the house to hang tight to his mother. The lady lets him know that the Germans have gone after them and that he ought to take off. All at once, a few troopers approach their home. The lady makes Sergei run through the window. He is shot dead before she can go along with him. The little 6-year-old is presently all alone, with no family and no companions. As Sergei takes off from the house, he sees his entire area consuming behind him. He requires his mom to know it and take off from that point. In the wake of running for some time, he winds up in the center of the forest. The young child begins to require his mom to come and get him, since he is lost. That evening, he remains in the wilderness. The next morning, we see him hydrated from a stream when the Exodus approach his direction. Realizing that they are risky, Sergei rapidly conceals inside a tree's foundations. He is surprised when a snake comes close by yet doesn't express a word of takeoff. Sergei is more frightened of warriors than of the snake. The fighters eat by the waterway and disappear, after which Sergei takes their extra food and eats it for the evening. Nonetheless, before the day's over, the young man is depleted. He hasn't had a legitimate feast in 2 days. What's more, has been strolling with no objective. He falls as he limps yet doesn't quite strolling. Wholly on this way, he sees wild bears and gobbles up them. Yet all of a sudden, a blast happens behind him, shocking him. The kid gets unsteady and begins to fantasize about somebody coming behind him. Nonetheless, even in such circumstance, he stands during and tells the individual he has a refill. Also, isn't frightened. He limps forward yet falls oblivious sooner or later. Wholly he is sleeping. Two fighters approach him. The sense silence to the Russian armed force base where leader Kuznetsova sits tight for his watch officers. They come in with the young child who is harmed and frail. At the point when the officer guarantee they are his ally, the young man opens up and presents himself. The fighters chuckle when the youngster shakes his hand with the command, recommending he present himself as well. The fighters feel friendly with the young child and circle him around. They make him hydrate and feed him. Indeed, even the generally silly command deals with the youngster. A medical caretaker named Katyadris Sargis owns wounds and is enchanted by his character as well. The youngster requests that she draw a tank on his injuries because he needs to be a fighter when he grows up. Indeed, even the harmed officers converse with the youngster and feel lighter. Sergei is entranced with the administrator's weapon and his bench. The administrator also answers all the young man's inquiries and allows him to play with his privileged gun after taking the shoots out. Sergei shows him the tank draw on his stomach and flaunts about being a trooper himself. The kid is recuperating rapidly. The medical caretaker Katia requests that the authority let the kid stay with the regiment. Be that as it may, he doesn't guaranteeing it won't be protected. He needs to send Sergei to a halfway house. The troopers invested all their free energy with Sergei. He is visited by quite a few people over the day. They bring him food, send their families from a far distance, and surprisingly let him play with their optics. At some point, a fighter goes to the officer to request that he let the kid stay with the unit. The fighters have grown a nearby association with the youngster and consider him their own. His presence takes the happiness of battle of their mind. Be that as it may, the leader is inflexible about sending the kid to the shelter for his well-being. The next day, the assault of the few. What's more, many fighters are harmed. A vehicle comes to get Sergei to take him to the shelter. The command informs the youngster and gives him a wooden privilege gun as a gift. The kid thus embarrasses him, asserting that he is threatened for the command's security. The command liquefies in his embarrass and alters his perspective. He requests that Sergei stay with the warriors as his child. That evening, the warriors search for little fighter garments for the young man. They are excited to have Sergei remain with them. The officer wakens Sergei and gives him the garments. He wears them and runs around, seeming to be a genuine fighter. The others being calling him their little fighter kid. As the youngster goes around, the Germans send off an air assault on the regiment. The troopers rapidly take Sergei to a protected spot and battle the others. The quantity of harm fighters develops quickly. Sergei needs to make himself valuable, so he carries water to purchase warriors. One of them requests that he read a letter sent by his family since he has a sweat over his eyes. The young man needs to help, yet doesn't have the foggiest idea how to peruse. He takes the letter and fires, making up the things composed on it, guaranteeing that the trooper's cow is protected back home. At the point when the fighter says he doesn't have a cow, the others advise him to oblige the story and snicker. The preuses every other person's letter in similar design and encourage them. In the accompanying scenes, we see Katy and the authority talking. The two appear to be drawn to one another, however they don't admit their sentiments. Afterwards, Sergei lets the officer know that he is in a deliberate situation in the force and starts presenting himself as one. Be that as it may, the kid then sees one of the troops. Situation obliterated from the assault. The commandant trains him to salute and offer appreciation to the dead officer. The following day, he demands the commandant give him a mission and is given the errand of disseminating the letter among the fighters. He follows through with his job effectively and even makes the troopers dance for him. The next day, Sergei goes somewhat distant from the base with his optics. As he is playing with it, he sees somebody's leg moving from inside a peel. He surges back to the Legion and enlightens the officers concerning his discoveries. The warriors have one or two serious messaging, yet go with the kid in any case. At the point when they arrive at the ship, they are made aware of two German spies shooting away under. The covert operatives and captured, and the youngster lauded for the insight. That evening, the leader shows Sergei the lawful papers for his reception. He is currently authoritatively the youngster's dad. Sergei is aware of the leader's affection for Katia. In this way, to re-embrace his consideration, he takes him to admit to her. In any case, the two see her conversing with alternate men and impudently expect she is keen on another person. The base is gone after by the Germans once more. This time, Sergei assists the officers energetically by providing ammo to the warriors in the cutting edge. Yet the troopers there order him to return to the shed since it is excessively risky outside. At the point when he comes to the shed, he sees the authority and others overreacting because the telephone's association with the colony is lost. An officer is shipped off to fix the missed up wires. Sergei follows the officer and sees he has been lately injured. He asks the waiting trooper how he can fix the wires. Also does it without anyone's help. The association returns and more soldiers are called. The 6-year-old saves everybody's life. Afterwards, we see the officer and Katia talking by the stream. The officer at long last admits his affection for himself and requests that she be Sergei's mom. Katia is excited. However, before she can say anything, a warrior approaches them and gives the command a letter, saying they have been dispatched from the base. The next day, everyone of the troopers leaves for their new base alongside Sergei. In any case coming, they go over minefield that brush off a portion of their vehicles. The authority is armed. Only the gathering organized, whom Sergei was close with, beats the dust in the blast. He carries and embarrasses the administrator. They convey the Harm once with them and proceeded with their accessories to their new base. At the point when they at last arrive at the other base, they meet the authorities chief, the general. He also is intrigued by their youngster, Desirous, and salutes the administrator for having such a brilliant youngster. The next day, their division is granted a gatekeeper's flag, as is the kid. He vows to save his nation when the general gives him his bounds. One evening, their base is going mercilessly, and the administrator caught under the remains. Sarji sobs for his dad and attempts to save him. He calls different troopers, who at last brought the leader out. The following day, Sarji approached an armed leader, and his hands were harmed while attempting to save the authority. The youngster is currently an invisible piece of the group. He doesn't have a family next to them and moves any place they go in the conflict. The film closes as the regiment is seen moving to another base. A voice behind the scenes protects that he even participated in the Stalingrad fight. Furthermore, arrived the Poland with the fighters. He is right now known as the world's most youthful officer ever, and the unbelievable story of his violence is presently severed so that the entire world could hear. If you like this recap, please subscribe and click the bell icon. Many thanks for watching. Please stay with us.